My story was purposely buried for a long time. Selfishly, I preferred to forget as much as possible in order to protect myself from pain of remembrance. You see, this was something that was discussed once and set aside, never to be touched again. It was my daughter, Angela, who urged me to put my life story on paper. After all these years, I suppose it is time. When the word Holocaust is mentioned, immediately one's mind goes to images of concentration camps or to the tragic stories told in a history class. But what if there was a different story? In her poignant memoir, Edith, a Jewish survivor, reminds us that the narrators of this time period are quickly fading away, and unless we tell their stories, they will be forgotten. The Nazi Officer's Wife by Edith Hahn Beer. On March 12, 1938, German troops marched into my hometown of Vienna, Austria. And my mother was deported to Poland. Soon after, the Nazis decided that all the Jews in Vienna had to be registered. So I changed my name and obtained false identification papers that completely denounced my status as Jewish. In order to survive, I had to become something I wasn't, to hide. Now I was Greta Denner, and a fugitive of the Gestapo, the German secret police. Afraid someone would recognize me and report my true identity, I fled to Germany. Now I fully intended to not draw any attention to myself, but, you see, that's where I met Werner Vetter at an art gallery in Munich. We happened to be observing the same painting, and I glanced over at him. Oh, he was tall, blond, and on his lapel was a pin of sin. Nazi party, a soldier. Before I had a chance to leave, he began talking to me. And talking. And talking. He would not stop talking about this painting. I hadn't even noticed, but in the midst of his talking, he had... He took my hand. I don't know why, but I agreed to meet him the next day. But when I think of the risk I took, I am astounded by my own foolishness. Oh, but at the time, I thought I liked Werner. He brought light into a world that had previously been dark. Oh, but eventually I had a decision to make. If I married Werner, but didn't tell him who I really was, I would be living with a Nazi soldier, a man who would never be challenged by the government. To marry him would be a slap in the face to everything I believed in. But you have to understand, I have to protect myself, for my family, for my mother, for me. So my identity became a thing of the past. Like a butterfly going back into a cocoon, I hid my personality from the world. But it did not last for long. One day I looked into a mirror and what I saw wasn't me. Is that? I had to convince myself who I really was. Edith Hahn Beer is a Nazi invention, a lie. I had forgotten who I really was. I am Jewish, and I will not be a Nazi officer's wife. This is all a bad dream. When will I wake up? You know, Werner and I were only married for 2 years. When the war was over, we divorced. We never truly loved each other, and I didn't have to hide behind my husband any longer. It was then that the realization of what happened to my people hit with full force. I was lonely for family, so I decided to try to locate my mother. One day, a friend told me about a transit camp where Jewish survivors were gathering. I thought I might find my mother or someone who knew her, and I hadn't been around my people in years. But when I arrived, Oh, sir, have you seen my mother, Edith Hahn? Thank you. Oh, sir, please, My mother was not there. And even though I was surrounded by my people, I had never felt more alone. Everyone around me looked like they had been dug up from the grave. But then they looked at me. And they looked at me like I didn't belong. They told me it would have been better to die a Jew than live a traitor to your own people. My people. What had those German monsters done to my people? And then I thought I had heard it all. Endured it all my suffering, separation from my family, marrying a Nazi officer, betraying my own identity. There couldn't possibly be anything worse. I was so wrong. How could I be one of the lucky ones? Why did I get to live when so many others had to die? Why did God choose me? I suppose that now I am like Dante. For yes, I have walked through hell and fire, and then yes, I have not been burned, but the scars. The scars still remain. This horrible event had so many layers of suffering that the stories of the ones who lived to tell them are often brushed aside for something more tragic. Don't let them fade away, for it is the ones that go unsaid that are the most important to tell.